Number 2. Collapse mechanics. The past is not set in stone. Healing isn't internal. It has become common in most people's consciousness that the past is fixed, that whatever happens has been recorded and logged like a snapshot behind them. Memory, however, does not exist as a printed image, it exists inside of your field. This isn't passive. The memories you carry have an active structure with momentum, weight, and collapse behavior. Some memories loop because you never collapse them on your terms. Some heal instantly because the loop of pain was never yours. Other memories won't change if they are treated like truth instead of coordinates. This post is about breaking down a core lie, that your past is something to understand, cope, or make peace with. In reality, your past is something you can exit. You heal your past by stepping into the version of yourself that no longer reinforces it. Your timeline will literally rewrite itself. People disappear, synchronicities reroute, and whole chunks of reality start to fall away without explanation. This is part of the Orion structure that has reduced inner healing to comfort. If you knew that healing your memories changes the structure of your life, you'd actively stop participating in the system that taught you to carry your wounds as your identity. Your past, and the way you remember it, actively shape your life. Not all memories operate the same. Some are shaped through what you could call consensus collapse. These are the kinds of memories reinforced by others through shared stories and collective attention. These include public moments, family dynamics, or past versions of yourself that people keep projecting onto you. When others remember something with you, the memory stabilizes through their field as well. That doesn't make it any more true. It just makes it more likely to repeat because it's being remembered collectively. Other memories are entirely personal collapse points. No one else is keeping them alive. No one else remembers them that way or attaches meaning to them. They stay active only because of how you continue to hold them. These are the loops that don't require witnesses to persist. If you haven't collapsed them differently, they remain so, even if no one else would see them the same way. The key to moving past this is knowing what kind of memory you're dealing with. Healing doesn't require you to convince anyone of your growth. Your own healing doesn't need an apology or agreement. You don't need anyone to reflect a new version of you back to you. The healing happens when you stop anchoring yourself to the shared version. When you no longer uphold someone else's reflection of who you were, that reflection begins to fade. Sometimes people who say they've done inner work still end up waiting for something outside of them to change. They journal about the pain, they reflect on what's happened, they understand their trauma, but nothing shifts. That's because they never actually collapsed the memory. They explored it, they softened around it, the original structure stayed intact. The field didn't release anything because the resonance didn't change. Healing is not the same as understanding. You can name the pattern and still live inside it. You can forgive someone and still collapse into the same emotional reaction when the loop returns. You can do the work and still orbit the same timeline because the signal you carry hasn't realigned. Collapse only happens when your field no longer resonates with the old structure. That shift reorganizes your external life. When collapse takes hold, things begin to move. Your body may respond first. You'll breathe differently. You'll sleep through nights that used to trigger you. The people who once pulled on your wounds may stop contacting you altogether. Entire dynamics will dissolve because your field no longer makes those interactions viable. Now, this is almost never seen, but your external life changes when your reality no longer has permission to play out the same result. You stop being the person those things happen to. You no longer co-sign the loop. That change in structure makes the old version of your life impossible. You can write 1,000 journal entries about how someone hurt you. You can trace every emotion back to childhood. You can cry, light a candle, and even feel peace. But if your field still holds the signature of abandonment, someone else will show up to mirror it. You'll meet a new partner, and the same shape will find you again. When the collapse is real, the pattern doesn't return. You stop drawing people who treat you like a placeholder. You stop needing signs to tell you it's over. You don't seek proof because you've already moved out of the version of yourself who needed to be proven right. That's what the change will look like. This is where many fall short. They collapse a new version of self for a few days, then look around and say nothing changed. That moment is critical. Nothing has changed because a new version will need a new foundation to exist. If you collapse back into the old emotional identity, the field resets and the foundation breaks apart. But if you hold the new version without waiting for confirmation, the timeline begins to reroute and build with what you are creating. What happens next won't be loud. It will be precise. People shift, circumstances reorder, entire sequences of your life break open because they were only possible through the old resonance. When you collapse a memory, that collapse doesn't force other people to do the same. It never will. Everyone holds their own field. They are free to remember things however they choose. Remember though, Once your resonance changes, their version can no longer anchor into yours the same way. You'll feel this the moment you stop validating someone else's loop. Their energy might become uncomfortable. The conversation may feel forced. They may try to test you by pulling on the old dynamic. This is what happens when two fields begin to move out of sync. You are no longer the person who plays that role for them. That version of you is no longer real. So unless they shift too, the timeline you once shared begins to dissolve. You are not rewriting the past for them. You are, however, exiting the shared collapse. That means their memory of you might stay the same. Their version of events might never change. It won't matter. Their field can only keep syncing with you if you keep holding the reflection open. Once that stops, their old projection begins to lose gravity. Eventually, it'll either transform or disappear. This is why so many fall away after experiencing real healing. Their field could only find you through a pattern that no longer exists. When that pattern is gone, the energetic link breaks. The relationship doesn't survive the shift unless both of you realign at the same time. This is not something you control. You don't have to correct their memory. There's a reason people are taught that healing is internal. There's a reason it gets framed as something you do to feel better instead of something that changes your reality. These reasons have been manufactured over thousands of years to continue human suppression. Inner healing has been deliberately reduced to emotional relief. It's been disconnected from structural power. Many, if not nearly all, therapy models encourage you to explore the past but never challenge the idea that it's fixed. They help you navigate your pain while still orienting you toward acceptance over collapse. Even spiritual spaces tend to treat healing as a personal insight, not a field command. Not as a literal change with physical applications. The deeper truth hasn't been taught. If people understood that memory is structural, everything would change. You wouldn't need permission to shift your timeline. You wouldn't need external proof to stop participating in a wound. You'd collapse a new structure and watch your outer life fall into alignment. You'd watch systems that control you melt away without needing to do any more. This is exactly why it stays hidden. If you knew that healing isn't about emotional growth, but about field level shift, you would no longer be governable through trauma. You would stop identifying with your wounds. You would stop participating in roles. You would stop needing to prove that something hurt you. You'd simply walk out of it. That kind of shift doesn't serve the structures that rely on reinforcement. The Orion framework holds power through static memory. It anchors your history because it has to. It keeps you collapsing into events that no longer exist by making your healing process symbolic instead of sovereign. You were taught that healing is slow, that it always leaves scars, that it just takes time. That's not true. The only reason it drags is because you're still agreeing to it. As many of you may be realizing, there's no real instruction I can provide you. You may also realize that the mapping I'm providing is all the real instruction I'm providing. I cannot discern for you, I cannot align for you, and I definitely won't make decisions for you. The biggest illusion is that we don't have free will and are entirely creatures of causality. To find unique, spiritual, sovereignty beings like humans and to control them would require dissolving all of their memory and tricking them into controlling themselves at your discretion. That's the goal. Destroy the memories, prevent the lexicon from taking shape, ridicule and take down anything that isn't of control. The more real your healing becomes, the less of your past remains.